welcome to the Oregon Files podcast. First, our disclaimer. We are amateur podcasters simply for entertainment. If we misquote or offend, it was not on purpose to do so. Today is special. We're recording from inside of the only vegan restaurant in Roseburg, Wrappin and Rollin in downtown Roseburg. Thank you and enjoy. And here's Elliot Bowman.
Thank you, Mark. Even though we're recording inside Wrapping and Rolling today, we need to also shout out Kyle from Video Games Plus from last episode for jumping on with us too, because that was super awesome. And yeah, we have back-to-back weeks of interviewing really awesome, small business owners, but they're larger than life small business owners. Good transition to Darci, who owns Wrappin and Rollin. She is the CEO, president, chef,
host,
the host,
cashier,
right?
Janitor,
Janitor, all of the above. Security. But yes, Darci, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Yay!
We really appreciate and your patience and everything like that. So. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Well, let's start from the beginning. I was born in 1973. I'm just kidding.
I'm like, wow.
That's crazy.
Really?
No, I'm originally from Bandon, Oregon. Bandon
cool.
by the sea.
Yeah.
Cheese curds and cranberries.
Yes.
We moved to Glide my senior year of high school.
Oh.
I graduated in 1992.
I graduated from Glide as well.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that wild?
We probably crossed in the
Oh, yeah.
What year did you
hallways or
graduate?
something.
I barely graduated. They just kind of kicked me out. They said, we don't want you
they're like,
anymore.
we're done with
yeah,
you.
You're weird. Okay, go.
It happens. So yeah, I graduated. And then after high school, I think I lived in Roseburg for like a hot minute with my mom and her soon to be husband. And then I was like, I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. And I lived in a lot of different places. Came back when I started having kiddos. They're 13 and 14 now. So I've been here for 13 years. And I like long walks and bicycling
And I'm a Virgo.
walking my dog.
Right.
I'm actually a Sagittarius.
I was guessing. Business. Or how'd you get into the food business? Have you always owned a food truck?
Our first question.
Yeah.
No, I have not always owned a food truck, but I've always worked in and enjoyed the food industry. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge foodie. I love food, and I love healthy food, and I love fresh food. I've always loved the creative presentation and combination of certain foods together. So I moved back to Oregon in 2007 after I'd been all over the place. And I was doing childcare for a couple of years when my girls were little. And then I started cleaning houses in 2009 until the end of 2015. I had been saving money in a match program through Umpqua NeighborWorks for several years.
Shout out NeighborWorks.
Yeah, NeighborWorks is freaking awesome. And I was talking with my husband about starting a business and what we were going to do with the money. And I originally intended to expand my cleaning business, but then he mentioned the idea of opening up a restaurant or doing a food truck, which I immediately got excited about because I remembered that I had talked about this before and never had the money to do something like that. So I basically just tossed it aside and kind of forgot about it until he mentioned it. And so from there, I got connected to the SBDC, Small Business Development Center. Yeah. Kim Todd was there and Debbie Catterson. They were a huge help in the very beginning of our process. So after I got hooked up with SBDC, then I started writing my business plan. Mm-hmm. Okay, right around the time that I was writing my business plan, the SBDC was hosting an angel investors pitch conference at UCC. This is where you pitch your idea in front of a room full of investors that have a lot of money.
It's like Shark Tank.
It's like Shark Tank.
Yeah.
How nervous were you?
I was so nervous. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I'm just going to put this cute outfit on and do a PowerPoint thing. And then we're just going to, whatever. It's going to be cool no matter what.
That's how I get my things.
Good experience. Just wing it. And so then they choose the winner and they give money to the winner. $5,000 was in the pot at this particular event. It's different every time. So we wrote up our pitch presentation with our PowerPoint and all. I had a friend help me because I don't know how to do that stuff. I had no idea what I was doing. I winged it. And then we ended up winning out of 11 other small business competitors.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Were there other like food trucks involved too? Or other restaurants too?
I think there was a couple other food things going on and then some computer thing and some, I don't know what all was there, but there was the cupcake lady, she was there, and a few others. But anyways, there was kind of a mixed bag.
Right.
So right out of the gate, we got a total of $17,000 to start our food truck because in the match program, I had already put in $3,000. They matched it with $9,000. And then they were like, you also qualify for this extra $3,000 grant. Do you want it? And I'm all, duh.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you keep that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, we'll take it.
So all that is kind of like essentially, it's like free funds?
It's free funds. Yes. These are the resources that people need to know about in order, if you don't have money and you want to do something, there's money out there to be had.
Man, that's awesome.
It's amazing. So we started doing pop-ups before we actually found and built our food truck. Our first pop-up was at the farmer's market, and then our second one, and where we went afterwards, was at Touche Brewery. Okay. So farmer's market has totally supported us the whole time. We also buy a lot of our produce and different items from people, farmers at the farmer's market.
That's awesome.
And then Danielle and Lyle. Ruda at Touche. They're bomb.
Yes.
And so they really helped us out in the beginning. So those were the very first places that we actually had our food.
So what's a pop-up? It's like a
just
circus tent?
Like a pop-up boutique. Yeah, kind of. I mean, we didn't have a circus tent. That would have been really cool. Right. We had coolers. And a canopy.
Yeah.
And then, that's how we popped up. We popped up. We hid behind it and then we jumped up. Just kidding. April Fools.
Right.
It's April Fools.
What kind of food were you like?
So we were doing our wraps and we were doing some sides and we were doing sauces. I don't think we were doing bowls at the time because we didn't have anything to heat it up. But we were using the Umpqua Local Goods. They had a certified kitchen. And so we were making all of our food in their kitchen. And then we were just paying a particular fee. And it's where Cascadian Coffee used to be down on Cass.
Oh, yeah. So we're familiar with Cascadian Coffee.
Yes. And so it was right in there. So after that, after our pop-up and whatever, we found our truck. And then my husband custom outfitted and finished the truck in 3 months' time.
Wow.
So it was totally, it didn't have a floor. Some of the windows were missing. I don't know if it did run. It was real, nobody would ever want this thing. Like, why would you get it? But I stood up in it and he's like, just come in here and look around. And I was like, oh, this is totally it. Like, we both had a vision for it and we both were excited about it. But it was fugly. Her name's Gretel. It's
Gretel.
She was kind of scary.
But how cool though to have that vision.
Yeah.
And then 3 months time to actually see that vision come to life.
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So right after the 3 months, we started entering food truck competitions and we started winning some food truck competitions. So we were winning money on top of the money that we had already invested into the food truck and the build out and all that stuff, which was quite expensive. It was more than what we won, but we were making it work. So back in 2019, we won Best Food Truck in Douglas County and third place overall at the food truck competition out at the fairgrounds.
It's very close to my heart. I can't wait. I hope they have it again this year.
I really want them to. Yes. It's amazing.
Yes.
Super fun. Brings everybody together. Yeah. Everybody loves food.
Yes. And you get to try foods that you wouldn't even try if that's not in this area.
Totally.
So, that's what I love.
Oh, they hosted Please Come Back food truck competition. Who does that? What's his name? Dwayne Patterson.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was helping out with that. I think he's got a team of people anyways, but Dwayne, if you're out there listening, do it. Okay. So they hosted about 25 to 30 trucks from all over, not just from Roseburg, but they were Portland, Grants Pass, Ashland, Bend, different places. Once we won the third place and then Best Food Truck in Douglas County, that really established our name and our product pretty quickly. So for the first 2 years of having the food truck, we just did events. We did Arts Festival, Farmers Market, both in Roseburg and Coos Bay. We drove over to Coos Bay and did the Farmers Market over there, which was freaking awesome.
Very cool.
We did music on the half shell and then a few other local events. That's just kind of how we started. So then we found a location over at Shanti's after we were doing, all the events and blah, blah, blah. We finally found our first location by Shanti's, and eventually we made our way downtown up by Whitestone Vitamin Store in their parking lot.
Yep.
And now we're just a couple blocks away from them down here by Old Soul Pizza. So in December of 2020 is when we moved into this place. So about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the beginning and progression of our little business.
Right. And you still have the the truck.
We still have the
out
food truck.
cooking.
It's our kitchen.
Right?
Yeah, because
Which is-
this basically essentially is just storage.
Right.
So it's considered a warehouse.
Yeah.
And then the truck is our kitchen.
So you have like an extended food truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome because then all the stuff, all the crap that we tried to shove
Right.
in our tiny, it's not even, it's an ice cream truck. Let's just be honest.
Right.
It's so tiny. I've never seen a food truck as tiny as ours, unless it's an ice cream truck.
Right.
So having this extra space in here to store our
Right.
dry stuff, and then we have refrigerated storage, it's great.
Right. So when you started, like, when you first started the food truck, what was kind of like the reception from people
From
that,
the community?
Yeah, there were maybe people that's never even had like vegan food that was like trying it for the first.
So we were super concerned that nobody was going to like us. And what are we doing? We're in a farming town, hunting. It's a tough gig. I'm
Right.
just saying. We got a lot
Right.
of scoffs and sneers. And like, I'd hear people
Really?
outside the truck, vegan food.
Oh, really? People
Yeah.
would actually make comments like that?
Yeah.
Like loud? Like,
A little bit.
Vegan food?
I mean, it didn't happen very often.
Right.
A couple of times. And still a little
Right.
bit. But, you know.
That's when you should be like, you want a free sample? Like, come try
I
it.
do. That's what I
Yeah.
do. I'm like, here, let me just.
Right,
I would
change your mind a
Benihana
little
it
bit.
and just like
Benihana.
throw a tofu in their mouth when they were saying vegan food,
Yeah.
and then they're like,
Big
"What
mouth,
is
right.
this?"
Have a collie bite, why don't you?
Yeah. So we definitely don't get the lines like the bacon truck does. The bacon truck gets the long lines,
Wait,
and
there's
then
a bacon truck?
well, I don't know, maybe
Stop the podcast.
there is somewhere. Actually, we did a food truck competition, and we were right next to a bacon truck.
Oh, really?
I think it just said bacon, and the line was
just
like,
said bacon.
I didn't even know. I think it was
contrast.
endless, and we had like 3 people, and I'm like, it's just because we serve our food really fast, so we don't have the lines
Right.
or something.
Their customers won't last as long.
All right.
Yeah. So, but for us to be able to be in business since 2016, that's when we started, and growing, that means that we are being supported and received well by a lot of people in this community.
Good.
We're getting more and more recognition over the years. I think the fact that we won competitions in the very beginning and really established our name right from the start, that helped tremendously. Plus veganism, I don't know if you've heard, but it's on the rise.
Yes.
It's a bonus. I rarely to never deal with disgruntled customers. I have really awesome customers.
Familiar.
And you can see that from our rave reviews on Google and Yelp.
You do? Did you know you have a 5-star review on Google?
Yes.
That's awesome.
I think we have all 5-star ratings.
You do.
On Google. Somebody screenshot
pretty
it
hard
and
to
sent
do.
it to me.
Oh,
They were
cool.
all excited. They're like, look, you're our favorite place. I think
do.
it was Tennille from For the Love of Pause.
Yeah.
So she screenshot it and sent it to me. She's like, this is amazing.
I feel like the day and age of like everyone has criticism about something. It's
Yeah.
tough to do that.
Yeah, I'm
You're
proud
like
of it.
5-star Uber driver,
Yeah.
right?
Right. I don't think there is such a thing. We've definitely established the fact that you don't have to have meat on your plate for it to be an amazing, full of
Right.
flavor meal.
Very
Well,
true.
I'll tell you, I was very skeptical about,
Yeah.
trying it for Chelsea. Okay, so Chelsea,
She was all
my
about
secret
it.
benefactor of ordering. Yeah, she tried it and she was like, you have to try, just give it a try. And like I'm like mentally preparing myself, but
You're like cardboard.
I think it's the combination.
and salt.
Yeah, or just like knowing that it's not real meat and then it's just not going to taste
Right.
like.
Which
but-
I stay away from fake meats. I don't know if
Yeah.
you noticed. I don't do fake
No,
meat.
and it's all plant based.
It's- yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
do a lot of raw foods.
add on something with how you combine the flavor
Yeah.
and everything. I don't know. To me, it's just,
That's what it's about.
phenomenal. It's
Very
just
cool.
it's delicious.
I could do it with meat too.
Yeah.
I can do the same thing with meat. I just choose not to.
Right. So the plant based, where does that kind of like?
Oh,
how did
boy.
you even learn to even come up with like the
Create.
recipes and create that? Yeah.
Right. I've worked in tons of restaurants,
Okay.
delis, diners, fine dining, pubs. I've done a lot of catering. I feel like I have a really good palate for what tastes good together just from my experience and working in a lot of different environments. I've lived in a lot of different places and I've been to other countries. And so there's flavors that I know are really good. And I just have a natural knack for it. My grandmother was an amazing cook. She always cooked all the meals for everything. I mean, lots of lard and fat and bacon and, all the things. But I mean, she just had a really good way of putting the food together that made it super delicious. So I think that just being in the kitchen with her, my mom always made homemade meal, like from scratch, you know, so just being around it and then also going into the food industry just gave me a better understanding of what goes together. Thumb through some cookbooks and recipes from magazines every once in a while, but I can never follow a recipe to the T. I've never been able to follow a recipe.
Really?
I'll look at it and be like, yeah, that's okay. I can make it better. And then I just make it way better. So I have to make it my own. Most of my inspirations come from my brain and weird ideas that I get in the middle of the night. I'll wake up and be like, cabbage and sweet and spicy sauce. And then my husband's like, what's happening? And I'm like, I'm
having a food dream.
Right. So since I've been vegan, my recipe ideas have blown up. Taking meat off the plate made the cooking adventure a lot more exciting for me. And I hear that from a lot of people that go towards the plant-based lifestyle. One of my all-time favorite flavor combinations, I'm just going to throw this out there for you fellers, is basil with bell pepper.
Okay.
Just basil, fresh basil, and eat it raw, together raw.
Yeah.
It's delicious, but then you can cook it too. But I always try things raw first, even if it's weird.
Oh, really?
Like eat it raw first, and then you get the real sense of like, okay, this is what when you cook it, because when you do cook stuff, you're cooking out a lot of the nutrients and the valuable things, essential, supplements and stuff that are in it. So I like to eat stuff raw, but basil and bell pepper is one of my favorite. I love tasting raw foods before creating dishes, and I would recommend anybody that wants to do that to also do that. It's fun and exciting.
Very cool.
I can be a vegan for my body, and I believe also for the planet and the animals, and all the other things fall into place. But I don't push that because everybody's bodies are different. I don't know. I'm not in your body. How can I tell you this is the best way for you to eat? I can't. So I don't do that.
What's your best-selling item?
Oh, Buffalo Bowl, by far. It's what we won the food truck competition with.
I'll be darned. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, the
Very
Buffalo
cool.
Bowl.
Yep.
I flirted with that today, but I went with the enchiladas.
Yeah,
But
and there's
that
a few
Buffalo
different
Bowl's
flavor
so good.
profiles that have the same. Like the hot wings, it's buffalo. The hot tacos, they're buffalo.
Right.
So it's the flavor combinations together.
Very smart. I like that.
So like when you cook at home, how do you...
Cereal. We just open up a box of cereal.
That makes
Lucky
sense.
Charms.
It's easy.
Lucky Charms.
Right.
Do it.
Cinnamon
Cookie
Toast
Crisp.
Crunch. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Fruit Loops.
right.
Here you go,
but,
kids.
no milk. It's just water.
milk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From the tap.
it's
from the well.
powdered, not dairy.
Right,
No,
it's
I'm just
powdered.
kidding. Did you ever have to do that? My mom did that.
No.
Powdered milk.
No.
We would run out of like regular milk. I don't know why there was a shortage or something. And so she'd be like, oh, just do the powdered milk with the water or sometimes just water in cereal. Try it.
I've
It's
done
awful.
water in cereal. I haven't done powdered milk.
I feel
in
like it's
cereal.
borderline like child abuse.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, powdered milk, no.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah,
Even the
powdered milk
instant
is
milk's
nasty.
gross. So,
Anyways, don't do it. Have you always been a health conscious person?
have you?
Um,
You need to answer this
feel like
truthfully,
I'm
Darcy.
being- okay.
Remember, this podcast is going into the internet web based, so
Okay.
it's going to
And
be
when
out
people
there.
say to be
It's gonna-
honest,
right?
You're like,
And your
well, were
family's
you
going to be
lying the whole
listening,
time?
right? To be
Now
honest.
you're going to be honest.
Now you're
right?
back.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you the truth about it.
Yeah. I wouldn't say so necessarily. I grew up on 100 acre farm in Bandon.
Nice.
So we always had a garden, a huge garden. I think it's huger in my mind because it was childhood.
It was probably huge.
I think it was the size of our restaurant. And then we had
That's a good garden.
we had 2 orchards. An upper orchard and a lower orchard. So we always had fresh fruit, always had fresh food. And my mom was always canning and preparing home cooked meals from scratch. So I guess in that way, yes, I was always around it. And I guess that it was just normal to me. So it was hard for me to think that I wasn't necessarily health conscious, but my mom was, and my family and the way we grew up. I was always the kid at school with celery sticks and carrots in their lunch. And all the other kids had like pudding and
Right.
cookies and
Twinkies.
little treats. I'm like, I don't even know what that
Ho-hos.
is. But I want it
All right.
because I knew they were like loving it, and I was
Nobody's trading you with snacks.
No, nobody was trading me. They're all get that crap out of here.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Vegan.
So, but as soon as I was out of the house, I completely rebelled and I did a full 180, like in the reverse.
no.
And so I ate at every fast food restaurant possible.
Oh my gosh.
I was a total sugaraholic, and I loved the worst foods like Spam,
Ew.
Vienna sausages.
Whoa.
Wait, what else? Lunchables.
Ooh, Lunchables are
Anyone?
good on a crunch.
It was an ugly time in my life, you guys. Ugly. I just was doing the whole fast food thing, like
Yeah.
Taco Bell. You get, free diarrhea.
Right.
Chasing a high. I know it.
Yeah, Jack in the
You're
Box.
chasing a high.
Jack in the
That
Box,
fourth meal.
the tacos that are
Oh
like
my gosh, 2 for $1.
so greasy inside,
know
and then
that?
the outside is like stale,
They're
but it's so delicious.
delicious.
I know.
So good.
So it was like I was
Are we
rebelling.
hungry?
I know what's happening.
Right.
Do I need to get on the food truck and make some food real quick? It was like I was rebelling against my body, though, kind of in a way. So I did that for a long time. And I feel like that's kind of normal for teenagers when they're becoming independent adults and
Right.
they go through their period of separation from their parents in some way. I got through it, you guys, and I made
survived.
it. I'm on the other side of it, so I can talk about it.
Hi, my name is Darci, and I'm
yeah.
an ex-Taco Bell holic.
Yeah. I've only been vegan for 10 years, and I'm 48. Don't judge me. For 38 years of my life, because people are like, well, don't you... Oh, gosh, sorry. That's a horrible voice.
No, that's,
I love it.
Well, don't you want to
perfect-
know what blah, blah, blah tastes like? I'm like, I know what it tastes like. I was 38 when I decided to become vegan. What are you talking about? And I pretty much ate whatever I wanted before then without much consideration of my health. So that's why I wouldn't say I was health conscious.
Yeah.
It's just how I was raised. And then later I was like, that's ridiculous. I'm not doing that anymore. And then later, I was like, that was awesome. Glad my mom, instilled some of those things in me.
what made you go vegan?
Well, I had cervical cancer when I was pregnant with my first daughter, who's 14. And I started researching and studying holistic ways to stay healthy and to
Right.
not have to go through like chemo and radiation and blah, 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 all that stuff. I didn't want to. And I was just like, ooh, I had a big aversion to it. Not that it's not necessary sometimes, but my cancer was only 1B or whatever. Like they detected it really early. And so I thought, okay, I can probably cure this naturally. I don't need to get all crazy. That's kind of what really prompted and started me thinking about what I put into my body and how that affects me and how I function and how it affects, because we all have cancer cells in our body. You're either feeding it or you're starving it. Those are the two things going on. So I decided to starve it, and I wasn't going to eat animal products anymore, lard, fat, butter, dairy, like red wine, even like some sugars contribute to your cancer cells. So I just quit. At first, I went vegetarian. Well, no, I went all organic. And then I was a vegetarian. And then I was a pescatarian. And then I was a blah blaharian. And then no. Anyways, but then I met this vegan chef. And he kind of showed me a few things. And I already was like leaning towards that. And then I was like, oh, I can totally do this. This is easy. I got this. And then now I've been vegan for 10 years. And never looked back, and I don't miss anything. People are like, well, don't you miss?
Right.
I know what stuff tastes like.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember. Like, there are some things I can't say that I don't miss, but there's so many other good things that I put in my body that I just don't have a craving for that. And they say your cravings change after a certain amount of time. And so I think 3 months it took for me to get over the dairy thing.
Right.
And now I'm like, I don't want it in my body.
Right.
And I've been dairy-free even longer than I've been vegan. I've been dairy-free for like 12 or 13 years.
Wow. Yeah.
I didn't know that dairy was affecting me the way that it was until I didn't do it anymore. And then I was like, you mean I don't have to like be all bloaty and gassy and just feel like, I can actually feel normal? What?
Like the fast food and the sugars, doesn't it like do something to your brain too? Like makes you,
Yes.
like it kind of like sends out like, I don't know what the word is, but like makes you want to continue.
It makes you
it makes you
crave
want to
more.
crave more and more.
Yep.
It's almost like cigarettes, drugs.
Yep.
I smoked for a long time, and
Cigarettes?
yeah, I quit cold turkey just one
Me
day.
too.
Just like, I'm
I
done
smoked
smoking.
off and on
Yeah.
for like 20 years.
Cigarette free and
Cigarette-free.
Burger King free.
Yeah, I know. Hallelujah.
I was saying, congratulations. Do you have a favorite food that you cook at home, and then favorite food that you make here?
Ooh. Okay, so I think, favorite sushi and Indian food. We were talking about that earlier.
Yes.
Those are probably my top two, and Thai food. I love Thai food.
Oh, I love Thai food too.
Food that I cook at home, I don't know. I do a lot of experimenting at home before I bring on a special, like the Anaheim stuffed peppers. I did those at home
so
first
good.
with my family, because my family, they're going to be real with me. They're going to tell me. They're not going to be like,
It's not
oh, it's
good.
delicious.
This isn't good, Mom.
They're going to be like, Mom, this is crap. What are
Right.
you trying to kill us? And I'm like, wait, it's plants. It's delicious. Yeah, the buffalo bowl. I think we mentioned that earlier.
Yes.
That's my favorite flavor profile
That's your favorite?
that I have to offer. So I eat tacos here almost every day.
Very cool.
And people are like, don't you get sick of it? I'm like, no, because I can do so many different things. Maybe I don't want tofu this day. Maybe I want cauliflower. Maybe I want black beans. Maybe I'm going to throw some basil in there. I can just like do a lot of different veggie combinations.
Right.
So I don't get sick of it ever. I love my food.
It's delicious.
Thank you.
It's cheaper too to sometimes even eat that way.
Cheaper?
Yeah.
I don't know because I haven't bought meat in so long.
Yeah.
I don't know what the price of meat is or dairy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And I don't really care because my overall health and wellness is more important to me than because I'm either going to pay more in doctor's bills.
Right. Yes.
Or a little bit more in my food. Doctor's bills are a lot more expensive than my kind of a little bit more expensive food. So I know that's an argument, but you're going to pay for it somehow.
Exactly.
So I'd rather pay more for my food.
Makes total sense.
Than to my doctor.
Owning a business.
Yes.
For folks that, the reaction to the last episode we did, it was kind of interesting. A lot of people listened to it and they took away the guy we interviewed, Kyle, who owns VGP. He kind of talked a lot about what it was like to start a small business, kind of things he learned.
Right.
What would be kind of advice to people that start, not just a restaurant, but like a small business, what are kind of like good steps to, take at the beginning, or maybe even things that you learned that you wish you could have, at the beginning, or, if you can go back and like tell yourself, I wish I would have done it this way or anything like that.
This is always kind of an interesting and tricky question because everybody wants to start or do a business for different reasons. Some people do it because they're passionate about something. Some people do it because they just literally need the money. Some people do it because they don't want to work for somebody else. Some people just want their own schedule. Some people want to do a franchise and multiply their business or expand, or they want to have a family business, or you're basically just creating a job for yourself and maybe some family members and people in the community. So there's a lot of different reasons why people want to start a business. So it's not the same answer for everybody. I'll just tell you my 2 cents. I think if you're the type of person that's a hard worker and you like to stay busy and you like to stay active and you know how to hustle and that's what drives you, like that's just how you were made, then being passionate about what you're choosing to do is super important because it's going to keep you being creative and excited and wanting to do whatever it is that you're investing your whole life into, really, because essentially you're starting a business to work and then do what you love if you're a passionate kind of driven person like that. So that's for that person. And that's where I'm at. Like I like to work. I like to be busy. I like to know that I can provide work for people in the community. My kids can work here, family members, other family members. And it's just, and I love being able to create an environment where people feel welcome and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I want to be here with my business. I basically did create a job for myself. I've thought about expansion. I've thought about franchise. I've thought about all the things. And is it what I really want? Not right now. Mm-hmm. Maybe later. I don't know. I mean, I have people say like, oh, I would totally buy your business, or I would buy a franchise if you started someplace else or went here or went there. It's a little too big for me right now. And I don't have like a team with me. I've got my chef and I've got my kids and my family, but I haven't really built up a team. And some people do that really well. And so I think that I could do that. It's just I've kind of kept it small for various reasons. My kids are still in school. Mm-hmm. It's already taking a lot of my time. So I just have to know where I'm at and what I'm capable of doing. I think probably the first thing that I did was I wrote a business plan. Mm-hmm. And then I did market research. Okay. Those are really good ways to start. Just kind of going into other businesses that are like your business, or knowing what other businesses in your community are, going to be doing similar things. Going to small business classes, which is what I did at SBDC, getting to know the people in your community that are like-minded, collaborating with others doing similar things. Yeah. So just being around that energy and other entrepreneurs in different ways, that's super important. And if you want to make tons of money and have multiple businesses and that's what drives you, I don't know, that wasn't my thing, but I would imagine probably a similar process, and maybe reading books about multimillionaires and might be helpful. Being around successful business people and getting yourself in the right circles, to know those people and rub shoulders with them or elbows or whatever you want to call it. You also need to know that failure and fear is part of the process, and it's totally okay.
Right. I was going to ask you, at what point, or did you have a lot of points of like self-doubt, like, we can't do this. This is not for me. Like, no. Or it was just like,
full
steam ahead.
It was full steam ahead, but it was like, What are we doing? Are we going to make money? We're going to get to the funny story here in a second. You know, failing and then having the fear and feeling like you can't do it or you can't whatever. These things can be overcome with determination, and then hearing other stories about their businesses and hearing their failures and their successes. That's really helpful. That's why it's so important to have other people around you when you're starting a business. Very rarely does someone have a successful business right out the gate. It takes a ton of work and a good support system. Don't be around people that are negative or don't understand your vision, because it can get you in a bad place when you're first getting excited and you're passionate, and you might be overly, but somebody that's not getting it is just going to be like, well, that can't happen. It's going to be too far. Like, well, what about this or what? And that just is bad, I think, for most people's psyche.
Right.
Very true.
And it's okay to fail and modify your plan. So if you realize like, oh, this really isn't like working, then just make some tweaks and modify and change it. Some people are better at doing that than others, more adaptable, I guess. I'm pretty adaptable. It's really healthy to take others' advice, but be careful who's giving you that advice, right? If they've never had a business, and they might not be the right person to take advice from. Know your resources and get connected, because everybody becomes an expert. They're like, oh, have this on your menu, this and that and this. I'm like, I don't specialize in that. Like, I don't want to be. I'm not Nathan Radford. He's an amazing chef at Catch 22. Shout out again. Yeah, he's amazing. He does all these like intricate different sauces and flavors and things. He's really good. We just have different ways of going about it. Mine is definitely more on the raw side and putting flavor combinations together. His is like maybe roasting something for 4 million hours. I'm not going to do that. I don't have the time to do that. I got to no, thank you. I do not want to be in the kitchen that long. So there's different levels of, you know, even in the industry with chefs and stuff doing different. Just stay in your lane. Know what you're doing. Yeah. Do it really good. Maybe add a few things here. Take some things off. Like do a lot of. I did a tasting for people to see what sold and what was good. The Buffalo Bowl didn't come in till 3 years into our. Yeah, so a couple of years ago is when I incorporated that, and then that one just took off, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. That's a game changer. So when you get like a gem, you stick with it. I have my menu pretty dialed in at this point. Right. I know what sells. I know what people like. Right. You know, and then that's why I do my specials, because that helps me to stay creative.
Right.
Very cool.
Okay. I was going to ask though too, like at what point did you realize like you do have something here? Like, you know, you put your plan together, you got your food truck, you know, you have, you know, everything, you know, set, you know, how long did it take to realize, be like, actually, I think we can be successful at this?
Gosh, I don't know that I even really think like that so much. So it still like kind of shocks me that we do as good as we do. Yeah. I'm still like, that's like cool. The past 2 days, we've had our highest sales that we've had in a long time.
Wow.
I mean, I know spring is here and summer, but it's making me a little bit panicky because it's just me and my chef and my kids.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, I need to hire somebody.
Right.
Anybody? So a year and a half ago, we moved into this place and our business blew up. Like people we have a line out the door sometimes, not all the time. And that's when I realized, oh, okay, this is something. And then I have people coming from Portland, Eugene, off the freeway, coming in. They're like, this is the best vegan food I've ever had. I'm like, you have all those vegan restaurants in Portland. What are you talking about? They're like, no, it's not like this.
That's awesome.
So that makes me feel like, okay. And then the 5-star Google thing, like what?
Really justifies.
Yeah. It makes me realize like, no, this is really good. This is quality. Right. This is chef worthy. Right. Nathan Radford gave me a huge platform and let me do a 5-course gourmet vegan meal at his place a couple of years ago. And I got to really expand my gourmet vegan stuff, and he learned a lot from it, and he was super impressed with a lot. So that validated me, because I'm just going to give a little disclaimer here. I didn't go to culinary school.
What?
No.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't have that like, and so sometimes I have, what's the complex where you don't really feel like you deserve?
Imposter complex.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like an imposter. So when I'm with these chefs, I get super intimidated. Right. And I'm like, oh, you're really good and you know what you're doing and you have it all together. And I just feel like this little whatever. But I have worked in, and he was like, no, you've worked in restaurants since you were 15. Like,
Right.
you know what you're doing. You've been around this. Like, you don't have to go to school.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a bar, like people that are bartenders just for like, that's what they do. But then somebody goes to bartending school and then they don't really know what they're just like, I need to, it's like, you know, maybe not the same, but
You're just a natural.
yeah. So do you want to hear my weird, funny story?
No, we don't do weird or funny on
No,
this
I'm gonna,
podcast.
no, I'm doing it.
No, we don't do those.
Okay. So when we first started, we did all the events and blah, blah, blah. Well, no, even before that, when we got over to Shanti's, so all the money that we were making was going back into we weren't making an overhead, or we weren't making anything more than what, it was just sustaining the business, right? That's usually what happens. So at a certain point, my husband and I were down to, because he quit, he was an over-the-road truck driver, and I was like, honey, you got to come back. We're going to start this business. I mean, he was coming and talking with me about it or whatever, but I'm like, you got to be here because I need you, and we need to do this together. So you got to quit doing that. And I was a house cleaner. We literally started the food truck on October 1st, 2016. My last day was the last day of September, house cleaning. Oh, wow. And then the next day we were like full blown food truckers.
Wow.
And so there was like no money coming from anywhere.
Yeah.
And so we looked in our bank account, or maybe it was something like that. We were down to 67 cents. You guys, this was crazy. And I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's when I did have that fear of like, I don't know if what we're doing makes any sense.
Oh my god.
We're in a black truck that looks like a demolition, like where army people are going to jump. Like, we don't look like a food truck. We didn't have enough money to paint our truck. We didn't have enough money for logo. We didn't have enough money to really do anything. We were just making food.
But what you did have was belief in yourself.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
100%.
Yep. And I have very supportive.
And the vision and the motivation to want to keep going and doing it.
Yep.
And you can't beat that.
Yeah.
That's true.
100%.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But that was pretty scary. But that's all I have for my funny, interesting story for the business.
I mean, that's super motivating too.
Yeah.
You know? Because I have 67 cents in my account right now, so.
So this podcast better pick up.
Right, exactly.
Skiddly do.
But how did the Wrappin' and Rollin' name come about?
Oh yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Are you on to
I could kind of guess a little bit, but
okay, so
considering you were a food truck, you were making wraps, and you were on a wheel.
Exactly.
That's
who came up with the name?
Yeah.
Me.
Who?
I did. Okay. I was trying to remember some of the other names that we'd been thinking about. I don't really remember. A couple of them were taken, so you go onto the site and you look them up and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So they were taken. So we just ended up sticking with Wrappin' and Rollin'. I immediately regretted it after we started making some wraps because they take forever. And I kind of wished I would have called it Bowlin' and Rollin', because the bowls they don't take very long to make.
Yeah.
The wraps, you have to do the thing, you have to do it a certain way, you have to pull the thing up, and you have to do the side. And anyways.
Well, can I just be honest? If you named it Bowlin' and Rollin', I would totally think of bowling, though.
Yeah, it'd be bowling.
Yeah.
Bowling alley.
So,
that's true.
Yeah, Wrappin' and Rollin' works.
Okay.
I mean, that's just an outsider's opinion. But
there
what
were
do I
some
know?
really ridiculous names that we thought of, too, that were probably inappropriate. I can't say on the podcast. It was ridiculous.
Family friendly.
Yeah. But there was Darci's Crafty Creations,
Ah.
Bowls and Rolls, and then, anyways, so Wrappin' and Rollin' stuck.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And it's been delicious ever since.
And we're rolling on wheels, you know.
Yeah, made sense.
We got spring
Kinda.
rolls, wheels.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that roll
Yeah.
in the truck. Oh, so there's another funny story about food trucking. So when you're going to events, you have to make sure that your stuff is locked down in the truck before you go from one place to your destination.
Yeah.
Many, many times, peanut sauce flies across the counter, smashes on the floor, sauces, utensils. I ran over a curb one time with a food truck. All the containers and the packaging all fell all around me on my head and all around. So it's just crazy. I just you don't know these things. Like everything really. So I started getting magnetic holders and just like putting my stuff in the magnetic stuff on the counter to keep it from sliding all around.
There you go.
This is probably a stupid question, but like, do you have to have like a certain license to drive a food truck?
No, driver's license.
Driver's license.
Yeah, you don't have to CDL or anything.
So how long did it take you to figure out how to like
Oh, so our food truck, the steering wheel pops off because we turned it into a prep station.
Oh, God.
So the steering wheel pops
yeah.
off.
Nice.
Brakes sometimes work and sometimes don't. I've ran through so many stop signs and lights
because you were rolling.
Because I was rolling and the brakes weren't working.
Right.
I actually smashed into the back of a Sims electric truck.
Did you ask them if
Smashed
they
the whole
wanted
front
lunch?
end. Yeah, well, it was all over in the food truck, so I was like, have at
Lunch
it.
is
Just
on
lick
me.
the floor.
Right.
Lunch is on the floor.
Right.
So.
Lunch is on you.
Yeah, lunch is literally. The guy jumps out and he's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I'm like, it was me. I slammed into you.
That's awesome.
And the steering wheel popped off one time when I was driving, so I was trying to put the brakes on, so I'm pulling up and putting the brakes.
Oh my gosh.
And the steering wheel completely, so I'm like trying to get the steering wheel back on and turn the corner.
Jeez.
It's wacky.
Oh.
The first time I tried to drive the food truck from, what's it called? The chassis was cracked.
Oh.
And we were driving from Canyonville back to Roseburg. And my husband was behind me in our 54 International, and I was in the food truck. He's like, just drive it to see. It felt like a boat. It felt like it was just like sailing.
Oh my gosh.
I was crying my eyes out. I was scared to death. I only did one from Canyonville to whatever the next exit is.
Right.
I was so scared, and the wind, because the truck is tall, the wind that was blowing and the truck's
Oh, my
all
God.
over the road, I was like,
No.
this is the worst thing ever. So I pulled over, I jumped out of the truck, I was crying, I was telling my husband, I'm like, why did you tell me it was like, this is so awful, I hate it. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I get you. I didn't even finish what I was saying, I just got in his car and like drove away. I was so scared.
Well, when you're not learning how to drive a food truck, what other kind of
My
hobbies do
hobbies?
you have?
Okay, so I've recently become a motorcycle enthusiast.
Okay.
Did you guys know that?
I did know that.
In the past
but
2
yeah,
years,
I did.
I took my endorsement class in June of 2020, and I fell in love with riding way more than I thought I would. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I was, however old I was when, I don't ever know how old I am, but in my 40s, mid 40s, and I discovered riding a motorcycle on the street and how much I loved it. I wish I did it before. I've been riding dirt bikes off and on for about 15 years or so. So when I met my husband, he's an avid rider. Okay. He's like races motocross. He's from San Diego and raced down there and done a lot of different stuff. So when I met him, I became more and more interested in riding. And then we'd been riding dirt bikes together for a few years. And he mentioned something about, so I didn't have my endorsement before that. I was just riding dirt bikes. And he's like, why don't you try to get your endorsement? And I'm like, what? Like, it never occurred to me that a female could ride a motorcycle on the street.
Why?
I have no idea. Isn't that weird?
That's weird, yeah.
Okay, childhood trauma. All right, let's just talk about it. I need a therapist for that. So I have no idea why I never thought about it. I just didn't. It didn't even like dawn on me. It wasn't like I thought bad or good, or it just never occurred to me. So I took the class and I passed, and I've been riding ever since. I actually rode my motorcycle here tonight.
Nice.
And I love riding in the dirt, just a little more than on the street because it's more technical and challenging and exciting. I took an all-girls dirt bike workshop about a year ago, and I absolutely fell in love with all of the riders, along with just being with women in this dynamic environment. There was like 30 of us there, and we're all doing these different things, and some are more advanced, and some are new, and some are racers and whatever. But it was all ladies. So there's something magical that happens when a bunch of gals get together and do something that has been primarily a guy sport.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Or a guy's thing for so many years. So it was exhilarating and fun. That's probably my main hobby. Mm-hmm. But I also love being outside in nature, exploring new places. Mm-hmm. I love being in the river in the summertime. I like to travel as well. It's always been important to me. I lived in Italy for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And
Italy.
I loved it.
Very cool.
It was awesome.
Man, I would love to go to Italy. No,
It's
Italy
beautiful.
would be awesome.
The people are
I
beautiful.
wouldn't stop eating.
I felt like they were I'm like, these are my people.
Yeah.
Everybody talks with their hands. Everybody's excited. They're all drinking wine. They're all,
Right.
It's like a party all the time. I'm like, I love you guys. It was awesome. So I was there for 3 months. I was in Thailand for a month. I've been to Switzerland, England, Mexico, Canada, China. I don't like being a tourist in places, so I'll usually try to go where the locals are.
Okay.
And then really get a feel for like the culture and people.
Right.
That's sweet.
I would like to do a lot more traveling and
Right.
a lot more just adventures like that.
Place you haven't been to that you would like to.
Okay, I was going to do some research on these places because I can't really tell you why I want to go there. I just
Okay.
want to go there.
Okay.
Canada's one of them.
No.
Okay, I'm just
I've been to Canada. Canada. No, Panama.
Okay.
Greece, which I did have
Greece
the
would be
opportunity
awesome.
to go to
Yeah.
Greece when I was in Italy, and I didn't do it, and I really regret it. I wish that I would have done that. Ecuador, Peru, so basically South America, like a South American tour. Yeah, I would love to do that. Brazil, Australia, and then places here: Grand Canyon, Niagara Falls, and Austin, Texas. Why Austin, Texas? Because it's the food truck mecca of the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been.
I haven't either, but I
Yeah.
hear it's awesome.
Yep, me too.
I love food trucks.
Yeah. I do too. It's awesome. Have you been to the Happy Valley? There's like a food truck court type thing there that they have indoor dining. They have these heaters up on these beams,
cool.
and then they have
Man.
like local beers.
Oh, that's
and some
awesome.
merch and stuff. And then the food trucks are all around.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool.
No,
and the
def-
lot in Bend too.
I'll definitely have to check it out.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like those are all of our important interview questions.
Okay.
We'll circle back to vegan stuff because
Sure.
that's where we're at. So the U.S. retail sales of plant-based foods have increased 11% from 2018 to 2019. Can you guess how much the plant-based market was in 2019?
Guess how much it was?
Yeah, like how much the market value was in 2019.
So what's the value now?
I do not know.
What was the value back then?
Oh gosh, I'm just going to tell you because you guys are asking way too many questions.
Some criteria.
It was $4.5 billion in 2019. I guess they named it like the year of the vegan.
Oh wow,
I guess
2019.
I guess that's when it hit like the
that makes sense.
big stride or like the top end market, like when the most, I don't know, foods have sold were plant-based in 2019.
Wow.
So Oregon is actually, its population is about 4 million people, and there are only about 22 vegan restaurants across the state. That equates to about 5.5 restaurants per million people, making it the top state for all vegan restaurants.
Wow, Oregon is.
I found that interesting.
That's
right?
cool. And look at
That
you're part of
is.
that.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
part
It's
of it.
pretty amazing. So I said this, I don't think we were recording, but I'll say. So Portland is also home to the country's oldest tofu maker. It still operates. It's called Ota Tofu. It opened its doors in 1911. It sold mainly to Chinese and Japanese immigrants.
Wow.
So a little
Good little factoids.
little fast factoids. We'll end on some good
Dad jokes?
dad jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to look because
do it.
today's I tried to look up April Fool's dad jokes, and this is what the internet told me it was. But
Okay.
none of this is April Fool's dad jokes, so edit that out.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Just kidding. Okay, what is round, hairy, and wears sunglasses?
Round, hairy, a hairball on the floor with your sunglasses that fell on the floor too.
A coconut on vacation.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Why was 6 afraid of 7?
Because 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah.
Why did the cookie go to the hospital?
Because it crumbled. It's
Oh, so close.
cookie crumbles.
Because he felt crummy.
Oh, crummy.
Wow.
Okay.
What do you call a droid that takes the long way around?
A droid
Yeah.
that takes a long way around.
Yes.
That's so random.
I don't even know.
R2 detour.
Oh my gosh.
I like it actually.
That's a good
I,
one. Yeah.
I figured you would appreciate
R2D2,
that
a
one.
droid that takes the long way around. Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta tell my kid that.
Yeah. What do you call a duck that gets all A's?
Duckin' awesome.
A wise quacker.
I like Duck and Awesome better.
Ducking awesome. How do you know that the ocean is friendly?
It waves.
It waves.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
He's reading it. That's why he got it. What is loud, fast, and crunchy?
Doritos in a Porsche.
A rocket chip.
Rocket ship.
Wow.
All right, last one. What did one plate say to the other? Dinner's on me. I tried to make them food related. Okay,
That's
so
really awesome.
I say Mark and I, we really appreciate you letting us come into your. I wave my hands into your work life
Yeah.
place, your space. I know how awesome you are, but if anyone whoever's going to listen to this, everyone's going to listen to this, come check out Wrappin and Rollin in Roseburg, Oregon on
No, we're on Main Street.
Main Street, excuse me.
Main Street.
533
Main Street.
Southeast Main.
And your hours are?
Tuesday through Friday, typically 11 to 3, but we're starting to open up on Saturdays too. So Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 3.
Come check it out. If you're skeptical like I was, believe me, the food is so you'll be no more skeptic once you eat it. Trust me, it's delicious. Mark, any other parting words, or
No, this is awesome. I really appreciate your time. The information was phenomenal.
Thank you.
And it's gonna be you're gonna live on the internet forever now. This is gonna be really cool.
This is so awesome.
Yeah. This
Can
is
I
great.
say one dad joke?
please?
Why do ducks have tail feathers? To hide their butt quack.
Okay, that's probably the best one we've done, even though we've done a million of them.
Where can they find us, Al?
You can first you can contact us at the Oregon Files Podcast at yahoo.com. You can find us anywhere where you get podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google, Alexa, Podcast Addict, YouTube, our Facebook page, Oregon Files Podcast. You literally can just Google Oregon Files Podcast and we'll pop right up.
That's what I did. And I listened
what you
to
did.
several of your
And we appreciate
things,
it.
and I loved it.
And we appreciate you.
Yes. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.